Hi, guys. Good evening. My name is Anthony Rivero, and welcome to tonight's main event. Breaking through the glass ceiling. In Power ng Pinoy, we have a saying that success never comes easily. Plan ahead, pray hard, and work even harder. And if you do well, give back and help others do well too. Yan ang Power ng Pinoy. I'd like to acknowledge our guest speakers, but also sharing their valuable insight with us. Thank you so much. Next thing is I'd like to introduce the founder of Filipino Network, Global Network, executive producer of Power ng Pinoy, and community leader within our community, Mr. Arnold Pedregal.
Thank you, Anthony, and thank you all for coming here today. I know it's a weekday, so it's been tough for everyone. But today is really a milestone for us. Like Anthony said, I'm the founder of Global Filipino Network. It's a community-based nonprofit organization which we have started just earlier on this year. And our goal really is to, like what we're doing here, we're connecting everyone. And I'm very happy that we have, and we're lucky to have our distinguished panelists. So I thank you for coming here, for donating your generous time, for sharing your insights and your journey towards the upliftment of the Filipinos. And the theme for this event, which is the breaking the glass ceiling, is very dear to my heart because as a Phil-Am myself, stories about how we from the Philippines, especially like myself, we had struggled a lot, blending into the mainstream. So by learning from these folks who have done it, we wanted to share the same insights to not just the people around here in the audience, but to those who are watching the show right now. So thank you again for coming here, and I'd like to make mention also about the West Bay, which is our partner. Moving forward, you'll be hearing more about this partnership and some other nonprofit organizations. I'd like to thank, of course, my friend Diana here, who has been generous for letting us use the facility. And of course, see a lot of friends here from Cisco, from Google, a lot of friends in the community. Thank you for coming. What we're trying to do here with the Global Filipino Network is we're trying to bring it to the next level. Powering Pinoy as a TV show shouldn't stop there. So what we did, like for example, the Hayan, we collected 150 boxes. And this is just one of the events that we're organizing. What we're trying to do with the Global Filipino Network is we really connect, we educate, and eventually we transform. So again, thank you so much, and hope you enjoy this event.
Thank you, Arnold, for your direction. Now I'd like to introduce to the stage Miss Diana Ding of Ding Ding TV, just to say a little something to our audience.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody for coming here, especially my friend Arnold, who brought so many great people here. We just made some new friends. I'm so happy. And I feel it's such an honor and privilege to be able to work with great people together, because this is what we are doing here at Ding Ding TV. Create a platform, a stage for great people to work together for our community. And by doing this today, you already broke the glass ceiling, I would say. Yes. And congratulations for everything, great things you did. And Ding Ding TV is Silicon Valley Innovation Channel, and we are also the first American Chinese internet TV in the United States. So you can get online and watch our show, which on www.dingding.tv. And we are also airing on more than 10 TV channels here in California, and also in China, reach 200 million audience. So thank you so much for coming, and thanks to my friend Arnold and Anthony. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker for this evening. He's the second person of Philippine birth to reach the rank of Major General in the U.S. Army. Aren't we so lucky? He's also the president of TDLS Consulting LLC, which provides business consulting services to small companies, disabled-owned, and he's also the chairman of Pan-Pacific American Leaders and Mentors, PPOM as it's called, a national all-volunteer nonprofit organization committed to mentoring and professional development of military and civilian leaders. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Major General Antonio Taguba.
Thanks, Anthony, for your generous introduction. And I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight, and especially to Vivian, Anthony, Diana, and of course Arnold for organizing this event and for inviting me all the way from Virginia. I live in Virginia. To come cross country and enjoy some company with my Kababayans, right? So we don't have too many over there. I'm just kidding. I was asked to kick off this topic of breaking through the glass ceiling, which is a never-ending topic of discussion, as we all know, but an important subject that matters to us Filipino Americans. Now, I would impress upon us that we Filipinos in this country have broken the glass ceiling many times before, typically at our community level and also at the state level, but also with high success. But we've never been able to break it or sustain it at the national level, and we all know that, especially in government and politics. Somehow the glass ceiling keeps getting higher and thicker, and we have not been able to sustain our aspiring leaders to break through it, and I call it a phenomenon of some sort, and I think we can do that in the future. Now, my question is breaking through the glass ceiling mean better representation across the country in every segment of our society? Is it about being highly competitive in public and private sectors? Is it about developing a solid group of leaders prepared to assume positions of higher responsibility? Is it about preparing future generations to maintain and sustain our presence as a potentially powerful and influential minority group in this country? And my answer to that is yes, all of the above. All it would take is for leadership with a bold vision and strategy to dispel this myth called the invisible minority, which we are referred to nowadays, and arm ourselves with the capacity to prepare young Filipino leaders of the millennial generation, some of you are represented here tonight, to represent Filipinos in this country. Now, this is hard work, but it's not impossible. I'm reminded of a sage advice I once heard, and that is, if we cannot prepare the future for our children, then we can certainly prepare our children for the future. It kind of makes sense to me if you think about it. But for the many generations of Filipino Americans in this country, we still have the haves and the have-nots. We are not as organized or unified community as we want. We have many differences in philosophy, values, ideals, whether we live on the east or west coast, north or south, or even in the central United States. Now, this is called democracy, but I will tell you it doesn't have to be this way, and it doesn't have to stay this way. So how are we in our community going to achieve this notion of being a visible minority for the benefit of our future generation? I believe our country is probably the most gratuitous country in the world. It is politically minded, socially active, economically influential, powerful militarily, and admired by the rest of the world. We are dealing with enormous and demanding issues which require critical dialectic, such as immigration reform, cybersecurity, LGBT, gun control, and violence. We also have a non-performing Congress. We all know that. A politically divided country. Bigotry and racism is still there, and we're still fighting a war in Afghanistan, and now we're fighting this thing called ISIS. I want to share with you a book that I read recently. It's called Generation We by Eric Greenberg, who wrote about the millennial generation, the generation born between 1978 and 2000. Raise your hand if you were born in between those time frames. Raise them up. Okay, good. There are about 95 million of you, and they have surpassed the baby boomer generations, and we're kind of declining on that. And there are thousands upon thousands of Filipino millennials in this very large population. Greenberg said that millennials has emerged as the most powerful political and social force. They are the best educated, most diverse generation driven by technology, internet, cell phone, text messaging, email, Twitter, YouTubers, iPads with the new iPhone 6, and of course the notebooks. They are the people who are forward-looking and progressive thinkers, a generation that believes in the power of human ingenuity and creativity to develop solutions to the problems we face. The problems this millennial generation will inherit from the baby boomers. We have become a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-generational, multi-everything country. They have underlying social economic ills that resonate today. If we are to become a visible entity, we must demand and expect to have a concerted effort in discussing and collaborating on the solutions, options, alternatives, and the strategy for the future that could ultimately unify our divided Filipino-American community throughout this country and maybe, just maybe, lead to progress. Now, of course, we are saying that we are hopeful, but we all know that hope is not a method. Now, the question I would submit to all of us is whether our community is willing to undertake this demand. For example, had we combined our efforts in this century, we would have had several prominent Filipino Americans in government today, as cabinet members, in Congress, as state governors, corporate heads in global economy. While we are doing well in the military, that too is not enough. We have Filipinos who relish on demeaning others, propagating the crab mentality, splintering groups to satisfy their egos and self-promotion. This is irresponsible, counterproductive, and self-serving. Now, the beneficiary of this ridiculous environment and closed-mindedness will be our kids, and we cannot afford to let that happen. Now, tonight we have a group of highly successful leaders in their chosen professions as panelists. Each of us have a story to tell on how we have broken through the proverbial glass ceiling. I offer to you a solution, one solution to this glass ceiling dilemma, which lies in our ability to have our ability as highly experienced leaders, is that we need to set the tone for our community, to get us organized, prescribe and share a common vision, and create a strategy for a high-level leadership representation that has the optimum potential to endure and succeed. Another is for leaders to do a better job of mentoring young leaders and in planning for succession in high-level leadership positions. And I'm not talking about nepotism either. It can be done. All it takes is a commitment. I have seen this succeed with other minority groups and other organizations with their strategies in our country. If you ask me, who are they? The Organization for Chinese Americans, very powerful. You have the Japanese American Citizens League, very powerful. You have La Raza, another influential. And you have the Asia Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies, a group of people that are being mentored to be in high political positions in Washington, D.C. Now, it can be done, and all it takes is a commitment. We cannot be a visible minority group if people will wonder with curiosity if we can be a valued force in this country. And I'll tell you, as I've traveled around the world and across this country, there's curiosity out there. Even in terms of my own nationality, because I will often get asked what tribe I've come from. Or am I really in the United States Army, not the Philippine Army? Those are curious questions, and I can deal with that. So my message is that, so let's get into action and be visible. We owe this much to the future generations and to our forebears. So I call to your attention to that. And so with that short notice to everybody, a challenge. Thank you for your quiet attention. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce to everybody here, Ms. Vivian Aralio, the Executive Director at the San Francisco nonprofit West Bay Filipino Multi-Service Center. She's also a multi-awarded Emmy Award-winning broadcast journalist who is currently a correspondent for Inquirer.net. She's also one of the most widely read online news source of Philippine news. Ms. Vivian is also named as one of the most influential Filipino women in America. So I'd like for us to give a big hand to Ms. Vivian Aralio.
What a great introduction. That's so hard to live up to, huh? So anyway, guys, good evening, everyone. Magandang gabi po. Kumusta po kayong lahat? Okay, great. Magtagalog tayo ng konti. We're here in a show for Power ng Pinoy. So, well, I'd like to introduce myself again. Yes, I'm the executive director at a nonprofit in San Francisco. And we serve youth and their families, Filipino immigrant youth and their families. It's a job that I'm very proud to do because I feel I'm doing my bit in helping my kababayan, our fellow Filipinos, adjust to life here in America. Of course, one might say that the glass ceiling is a concept that's just a little too far for them at this time, but not impossible. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to visualize how it can be done, how to break that glass ceiling with people who I believe we can say have already broken that glass ceiling. So with that, we'll start our panel discussion.